Let's pick apart the government's new illegal migration deal with France. It's so shambolic, it's beyond parody. The UK will pay the costs of transporting all migrants to and from France. You will be paying for everything. You'll pay for Border Force to bring the illegals into Britain when they're in the Channel. You'll pay for their detention, their accommodation, potentially even some legal fees in the meantime as well. Then you'll pay for them to be sent back to France. And then you'll pay for the French to send a load more in their place. Secondly, the deal can be ended with just 1 month's notice by either side. And it has to be renewed by June the 11th next year, reportedly. So as it stands, it won't even be enforced for a year by the time it has to be renewed again. Thirdly, the French have no obligation to give us any information about who it is they're sending over. We know that we've had murderers, paedophiles, rapists and even ISIS sleeper cells who have come across the Channel.
Are terrorists and terrorist sympathisers who are breaking into our country on small boats and on the back of lorries, who pose a very serious threat to the British public. The small boats crisis, as I've now been saying for years, is a national security emergency.
It appears the French don't have to tell us anything about the people they give us. Fourthly, illegal migrants might be able to use a human rights loophole to avoid being sent back to France. Now, it seems as though there is a clause in this pathetic non-deal that says if they are to be sent back to France, we must confirm they have no outstanding human rights claims in the UK. Well, we have a whole industry of, in my view, traitorous human rights lawyers in Britain who seem to be able to claim anything in order to keep their client in the country. For example, they can claim their client is the victim of modern slavery, despite their client willingly paying someone to bring them to Britain. They seem to be able to claim that things like their client's detention itself has caused them alarm and distress. They could claim that there's a gang who might kill them in France. It seems to me they can claim all sorts of things. I mean, the appeals process is ridiculous. Do you remember Abdulazidi, who doused a woman and child in acid in Clapham? He'd been refused asylum several times and committed a sex offence in Britain. He then went on to claim, or certainly his lawyer did, that he'd become a Christian man and was approved at the third attempt. He did have a Muslim funeral, by the way, so read into that what you will. Anyway, the fifth issue. The Home Secretary can't or won't put a number on how many people we will actually send back to France.
What number do you think a successful scheme would have?
Well, part of what we're doing here is trialling the concept. So we're not setting out the numbers, and there's some specific reasons for that. The reasons for not setting out the numbers is, firstly, the numbers will vary.
Where would you like that number to be, say, in a year's time?
Well, look, nobody should be making those boat crossings at all because they undermine border security, they put lives at risk. Of course, we want those numbers to come down. We want them to come down as swiftly as possible.
How far down?
And, well, I don't want to see anybody making those crossings.
Let's move on to issue number 6. The Home Secretary is unable to say when this returns deal will start.
Taking place in August.
So, again, we need to work those processes through, but we want to see the returns themselves take place as swiftly as possible.
You can't
bear in mind, people will be detained until they are returned, so
but
they
you're
will
unable
remain
to say
in
August,
detention. Well, as I said, we want this to be in a matter of weeks. Some of those cases we hope will be able to take place very quickly.
Bit of a grey area there. Just to add insult to injury, today it emerged that President Trump is going to deport hundreds of migrants to Rwanda. And, well, it looks as though they might be going to be housed in accommodation that the British taxpayer paid for under the Rwanda scheme. That Sir Keir Starmer scrapped. And just finally, the Home Office put this out today. The UK is a tolerant country, but there are rules and they must be followed. Those who come here legally and make a contribution will always have a place. Those with no right to be here will be removed, with over 35,000 already returned since July 2024. Talking tough there, saying that more than 35,000 people have been deported. All right. Well, as of March, they claim that they deported 24,000 people. In reality, 17,661 of them appear to have left voluntarily. So let's just recap this new deal, all right? UK pays all transport costs. The deal can be ended by either side with a month's notice. France might send us wrong-uns. We might not be able to return everyone/anyone. The Home Secretary won't say how many will be deported, and the Home Secretary can't say when deportations will start. But apart from that, this is the best deal I've ever seen.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Let's get thoughts from my panel now. We have got a Director of Public Services, Mark Littlewood. We've got businessman and activist Adam Brooks and broadcaster and journalist Nina Mishkov. Mark, this deal, is it worth the paper it's written on?
No, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's worse than that. I think this is likely to make things worse overall. I mean, we'd be better off with no deal at all, as far as I can see. You've listed a range of the problems there. I mean, let's be optimistic for a moment. Let's assume one in, one out works, right, in some sort of way, despite all of the hurdles that you've just outlined, Patrick. Well, I mean, that doesn't really solve the problem, does it? I mean, we need something more like 0 in and 1 million out is probably the scale of the problem we're dealing with. And for the reasons you've just said, it seems to me, you know, we might be sending off, I don't know, shoplifters to France in exchange for a paedophile or a terrorist coming the other way. That might be the risk. We don't know that. So I don't know what this is attempting to achieve, really. What's the point of 1 in, 1 out in fairly rudimentary maths terms? That's not going to cut the total number. I'm sceptical this will get off the ground at all. The devil in the detail there about we can only send people to France if they have exhausted all of their human rights claims. Well, that can be years for each and every single claimant. So I have no idea what the government was attempting to achieve. They've had more than a year to put in place their system. I'm sympathetic that I did not necessarily expect them to solve this problem overnight, but they didn't have a plan. It's taken them a year to get a plan, and this plan will not work.
OK, Adam, your take on these potential pitfalls of this plan?
It's beyond belief, if I'm honest. This is utter PR just to try and persuade a few of the British public that they're actually doing something. They're not. As Mark said, I think this will make it worse. The smugglers will be laughing at this. We have got a national emergency here. I cannot see how our MPs and government cannot see that. I live this. In Epping, I speak to the parents of girls who are harassed, who are followed, are flashed. There's an alleged sexual assault. The town is being ruined by asylum seekers, the same people that are coming across these boats every day. Greece and Australia physically turned round the boats and they solved their problem. What is the worst that's going to happen to our government? They're going to get a ticking off in an international court. What we need to do, we need to detain in fence camps so these people cannot terrorise our communities. We need to suspend all asylum claims except women and children. We're not monsters. I would like to help women and children if they're hard up and coming from war-torn countries. And then stop all benefits to foreign-born that have not been here 10 years. That ends this crisis, right? And the British public would thank Keir Starmer to do it and would probably vote for him.
All right. Well, look, Nina, you know, are we being a bit unfair? Does it need a bit of time to work? You know, maybe this will be a suitable deterrent and it'll stop the boats?
I watched Yvette Cooper on television yesterday morning, not on, as you pointed out.
Absolutely, yes, quite.
GBNews.
Too busy.
So, well, she was very busy. Saying that they do not claim this is a silver bullet that will solve everything, but there's got to be a start somewhere. And one of the points that comes out of this is that this is the first time that migrants will be processed or can apply on foreign soil, on French soil. Now, we've not had that at all since Brexit. We've not had that. So that's a little wedge in the door to open that up a bit. What we need are hubs in other countries where people can apply safely and be rejected, and then we don't ever see them at all. So that's a beginning. Also, Lisa Nandy said on television this morning that they would, if there was a human rights claim, that would be dealt with in France. So that has not been denied by Number 10. I mean, there may be a statement about it tomorrow, but that's what she said, and that she said that I think it was Chris Philp who'd pointed that out. She said that he'd misconstrued it, that he just misunderstood it.
Well, that's an interesting point, and just on that exact point, actually. So Dame Angela Eagle, as also, she is the Minister for Border and Asylum, I think the title is. Full security checks on any applicants will be able to be done. So this is it. So full security checks on any applicants will be able to be done. But there does appear to be a lot of confusion about this, because I've read the article in the Deal. That's not my interpretation of it, and that wasn't the interpretation from the Shadow Home Secretary, and it's not been the interpretation of a lawyer that I've spoken to about it as well. However, this is Labour's interpretation of it. They supposedly wrote this deal, so maybe we have to give them the benefit of the doubt there. But ultimately, it's whether or not this is just a gimmick, Mark, that Keir Starmer said he wasn't going to do. And the extra kick in the nuts, of course, appears to be that Trump seems to be about to use a load of accommodation that we've built in Rwanda.
Yeah, we spent quite a lot of money to try and sort out the American immigration problem, haven't we? Haven't done so well ourselves. So, Donald Trump owes us one. I mean, it is a gimmick, because, as I say, even if it works, one in, one out is nowhere good enough, right? And I would have assumed, I'm not a human rights lawyer, but I would have assumed people will wait till their feet are on British soil before making their human rights
this is
claim.
it.
Like, that's what they'll do.
And if you claim immediately, that's the thing.
These people are good at gaming the system and are well advised on how to game the system. So I think there's quite a lot of wishful thinking by Labour ministers here. And I suspect, my guess, is they will be outfoxed yet again by the smuggling gangs and the asylum seekers.
And the lawyers.
Why are Greece allowed to detain and threaten 5-year sentences for illegal entry and we can't? Why can that not happen?
They're part of the European
Final word from you,
Union.
Nina. Go on.
We have that rule here if we want.
Listen, there are a range of options that Keir Starmer is pursuing. This is merely one of them. And as I've said before, you cannot turn this off like a tap.
Okay.
It's a massive
Donald
business.
Trump did.
And so,
overnight.
We're not living in a dictatorship, are we?
He's not a dictator.
Well, it's America.
On
They
that note,
voted for him,
guys,
but my God,
I like Adam's plan.
Congress.
That's what the government should do.
On that point.